current safer at home situation has led to a nationwide bloom of gardening. Whether it's to beat boredom or for sustainability, there are plenty of plants that anyone can grow, even if you don't have a green thumb. Alex Barth from Troy's Tropics joins us via Skype to spice things up and help us plant herbs. Great to see you, Alex.
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're hanging in here for sure. All right, now listen, Kaylee and I both admit to not having green thumbs. Are we naive to think that we can start our own home herb garden?
Oh, it's so easy, guys. It's easier than you think, and it's actually quite a bit easier than planting a number of other things. So I think you're on the right track to start with the small herb garden.
All right, well, let's get into it. Now, where does one even start?
Okay, so basically, these are great containers to have. You can find these generally anywhere. We sell them up at the nursery ourselves. These are little container pots, okay? And they even hold a little bit of water in the reservoir. Can you guys see that okay?
Yeah.
All right, so basically it starts with this. Now, what you want to use is a real loamy potting mix. Potting mix is going to be your best friend, okay? And if you would like, I can do a demonstration real quick.
Yes, please.
Okay, so you have your potting mix. It's pretty simple. You just want to pour some of your potting mix in. And you don't want to fill the container all the way up to the very brim, because remember, you have to have plants in the container. So what I like to do is kind of, you would think the obvious is obvious, but sometimes
not to us, yes.
Yeah. So what I have it about halfway full right now, and I'll kind of pack down the soil just a little bit lightly. So what we'll do is take an African basil. This is a beautiful African basil. We'll put it in the container. Now you see that I don't have it overflowing the lip, where it's not above the lip of the container. Mm-hmm. And then all I'll do is add some soil around the base of it. You never want to cover the top of the container area where the soil is.
Okay. All right.
So you pack it in. You add a little bit more soil, so you're covering the side of the root ball, but not covering the top of the root ball. You always want it to remain level.
How important is it to be precise with how deep the roots go when you are putting it in the soil?
So, mainly with herbs and vegetables, you do want to be somewhat precise. You don't want to overcover the root ball. Tomatoes are one of the few things that are forgiving, that you can actually bury a little deep. Everything else, you want to make sure that the soil level is about where the top of the container or the root ball is in the old container that you're transplanting into the new container.
Okay.
And now, what types of herbs can go in the same container? Do we have to separate them? Do any of them live together nicely as roommates?
Oh, they do, definitely. For instance, I have thyme here. Thyme stays smaller. You can really fit that in. You can add a number of herbs in a container. The one thing you have to remember, though, is some things grow larger than others. For example, your basil, this African basil is one of the perennial basils, so it gets larger and more bush-like, so you want to give it plenty of room. So thyme, though, it can fit in with other herbs pretty nicely because it stays nice and small.
And where are we going to want to keep this as far as sunlight? I mean, what is the best options?
Yeah, so rule of thumb here on these guys is try to keep them in mainly full sun. A little afternoon sun break would be nice. Maybe 5-6 hours of full sun. That would be great. And, a lot of things thrive in those kind of conditions. Full baking sun, you have to be careful with some herbs. But generally, if you have a nice sun break in the afternoon, somewhere where it gets partial shade toward the end of the day, that's really nice.
What types of herbs would you recommend as a nice starter garden?
A nice starter garden and something to consider. Number one, your African basil. Okay. Number two, parsley is great because parsley is very versatile, and actually it's high in vitamin A, C, and B vitamins. A lot of people don't know that, so it's very healthy for you, and it's easy to grow. Basil is easy to grow. Parsley is easy to grow. And then something like oregano is another good option. It's the most widely used herb on earth for culinary reasons and cooking. You know, it's very easy. It's a great herb, and it's used medicinally, actually. A lot of people use oregano oil not only for medicinal reasons, but also for cooking.
And it tastes great, too.
Yes.
Now, what about watering when it comes to watering?
Great.
Any tips on watering?
Don't overwater. A lot of times you'll see a few brown leaves or something. You'll want to pour water on. You're thinking, oh my gosh, it's not getting too much water. A really good idea is to use a finger test. Just dip your finger about an inch underneath the soil. If it's still moist, don't water. If it feels dry, water. But that's why using potting mix is great, because it drains pretty quickly, and it's harder to overwater those containers.
Oh, thank you so much, Alex. You've now got us well on our way to our very own at-home herb gardens. And it's great to know that we can still come visit you at Troy's Tropics because of your outdoor nursery. We can still shop safely and boost our cooking.
Yes,
Thanks, Alex. We look forward to seeing you in the studio again with us. But for now, Troy's Tropics is located on Proctor Road at Honore in Sarasota. Their open-air nursery, like we mentioned, is open. You can find more information online at troystropics.com. We'll be right back.